A recent Stanford study just punched a hole in and shed some light on the forever wage gap between men and women. It compared the ride-sharing apps Lyft and Uber to get a better understanding of the glass ceiling that many women experience, earning roughly 75 cents to the dollar for equal work. In the past, those findings meant chauvinistic bosses in corner offices were deliberately keeping otherwise capable women down. And while hiring and talent pipelines, especially for entry-level management positions, have directly constrained women's ascent through the ranks, the ride-sharing study did something unique. It took the chauvinistic bosses in the corner office right out of the equation. The apps, after all, run on simple gender-blind algorithms detecting the GPS coordinates of available drivers and connecting them in an open, opt-in marketplace of supply and demand. But here's what they found. Women, minus the pig-headed boss, still experienced a wage gap compared to their male colleagues. But if it wasn't glass ceilings that were holding women drivers back, what was it? Common sense. They had it, and the men didn't. In their analysis, male drivers were willing to take consistently 3 kinds of risk that contributed to their higher earnings. They drove later into the night on longer shifts, they took more long-distance one-way rides, and they drove into less desirable zip codes at all hours. In other words, they took more risks further from home and exposed themselves to breakdowns, theft, or violence more willingly. For female drivers, those risks would have likely have been increased, so they had opted out of exposing themselves to the uncertainty. The potential upside wasn't enough to outweigh the down. It also happened that a majority of the women studied reported one or more dependents. Aging parents, children by birth or marriage, neighbors, and extended family care topped the list. They avoided long-distance trips so they could pick rides that kept them closer to home and the people that relied on them. So given this objective experiment, it turns out that women, as unbiased, rational economic agents, chose safety and caring for family members over maximizing earnings. So while any blind spots regarding women's equal access to opportunity for sure still need to be addressed, there's also the exact opposite question to ask. Why are we forcing men to cut so many corners when it comes to their work-life balance, exposure to risky situations, burnout, anxiety, and depression? And why would we lobby to expose women to the same threats? Shouldn't we at least consider that the women in this experiment are smarter, that rather than lobbying for equal access to the heartless treadmill of extractive labor markets, we actually listen to the wisdom inherent in their aggregate choices? Because as Krishnamurti once said, it's no sign of health to be well adjusted to a society that's sick. If these women drivers' decisions match those across cultures, shouldn't we be spending at least as much time supporting parental leave, early childhood care, and elder care than simply trying to claw back the 25 cents on the dollar that women are investing into family and community? Isn't there an entirely deeper conversation to be had about valuing all of the social investments that take place off the Economist book? And isn't it about time we all caught up to that fact instead of bickering at each other in the culture wars?